This is day 1328 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, and our limud should be a schus for our victory in the war in Eretz Yisrael, speedily in our time. Today we are doing Siman Reish Aleph in Yerodea, Sif Kuv Ches to Kuv Yudalit. Okay, Kuv Ches. Come across the Rabbeinu Beis says Sifra Godim with Zel Shoinai. Beis Yosef writes as follows: that Mayon, about now he's going to say something about a Mayon, which is less than 40 saw, and its relationship to Shuvin. That's the Chayestation of Mordechai. There's a different opinion there. She's over the Mayan Nami posted Shlosh Lugim Mayim Shuvim. Then a spring also 3 lug of Mayim Shuvim passes the Mayan. Ad Kan Lashon. Im Ki Yubatz Malo Chashash B'Shulchan Aruch Klal Azeh. Even though he doesn't, Beis Yosef does not take this into account at all in the Shulchan Aruch. I mean, come on, never saw Rabbeinu Ramah, but see, Tezvav Chashash Ktsas Lazeh. The Ramah is somewhat concerned with it. Came to Mem Leina and Nakos HaMikveh became the Kuvin Kadesh Leiplu Shlosh Lugim Makalim Achar Shetech Sar B'Yim Saw, and also that in writing about cleaning the mikveh with punctured vessels, so you shouldn't have 3 log from the 3 log coming from kalim after the mikveh is less than 40 saw. Because the Rabbeinu Beis Yosef, the Beis Yosef says Zeu Dafka b'mikveh, the mikveh that's only by mikveh lo b'mayan. They didn't mind if so b'shiva because a spring did not become possible with mayim shuvim. Because of the Rabbeinu Ramah, the Ramah writes of Zeu Shona as follows: Kom kol nagul achmer gab b'mayan. The custom is to be machmer even by a spring. Keish chokin afilu b'mayan. Those who argue even by a spring, for him in the shiva posels, and they say that drawn water passes it. Therefore, it's preferable to make a puncture in the vessel with which you draw the water, even in the spring. But if it's very difficult to do, or the Evid, or if it's after the fact, you can rely on those who are lenient, because that's the primary halacha. Okay, true, but l'chatchila is machmir. Uve emes. And the truth, lo motzasi afcham in a place from Shizbor Kain. Never found anybody else who says that. Shulchan Aruch siyam machmirim gam b'mayon. The Shulchan Aruch, the Ramah in the Shulchan Aruch. It's interesting. I think the Tzionim in the Ramah, the Shulchan Aruch, are not from the Ramah himself. Okay, I'm not looking aside, but I think the parentheses where the Tzunim were not from the Ramah. Okay, don't know. But in any event, he brings down Machmir also by mine, Mordechai B'Shem B'Shiltos, Marik Shosh and Vav, Chumas Deshen, Simulation, Ches Ayin Sham. Gam Chumas Deshen, Sham, but Chumas Deshen there also, Achreish Kasav, the Medina and a mine put Nifsa B'Shiva. After he wrote that a Mayan is not rendered possible by drawn water, because the Shoni writes, the minhag in all places I've seen the Kapadim, I feel Malcolm Shu Mayan, that they are concerned even with a place where it's a spring. Im Chazum Yashum the Mayan fell into. There's so I'm not sure it means it says Lo Matzasi Chamina Place and she's Barkain. I believe it's not Poiskin. I don't know. But it says the Yerushalayim Machmina, but also here Divrei Rova Goyim she's Karti. So Chumas Deshen speaking. That's it seems that that's her Machmir. The Mordechai goes to Veshiltos to begin Shem Nakim Mikvah Pake Kol Nikveh and Aviyah. Because the Mordechai says in the name of Shiltos that when cleaning the mikveh, the custom is to seal off all holes to which the water springs into the mikveh. The Mordechai Veshiltos we go poking Nikveh and Aviyah. He says you stop up the holes in which it springs. Almo b'mayan ire, so it must be talking about a mayan. Filachi postum hashuvim bo and nevertheless mayim shuvim paslet. Okay, kuftes. My name is Bala Flavor fell out of I'm astonished at this. The Shiltos ain't zechel. Nothing about this in the Shiltos at all. V'gam b'dusha emidach Shiltos zichtov lashon kazeh. So it's not the Shiltos does not write in such language. You got Mordechai Perek Beis Shvuos. Loivi is B'Shem Shiltos. He does not bring down the name of the Shiltos. And you couldn't be video Shiltos in Shlosh Lukim. Before they brings down the Shiltos in terms of the 3 luk, they post him. They don't pass unless you started pouring the second luk before you stop pouring the first luk. Harkosav, and therefore afterwards he writes Hilchak Regilin. Therefore the custom is Shemenakim so when you clean the mikveh, shepokim chulei, you close up the openings. And afterwards it says when you come out of a chulei, kolosha chumas hadesh shevenu. The It brings down the Mordechai brings down chumas hadesh. Remember the Shiltas, it's not from the Shiltas, Ein Sham. Most, there's no mention of this in the Shiltas of Pashas Achrei Mos. Shebisham the mikvah where he brings the halachas of mikvah Ein Sham. Kamotesis, but tomorrow if you leave it Shiltas being Yosef, lo if you leave they brought down Shiltas in terms of Shuvim, but not for this respect. But Ein Sham. See there, the Chaim Asmag. וכן מסמג בהלכות מקוואות, וכן אור זורה גדול, סימושין למראה, שהביאו דברי השילטוס, לא הזכירו זה, they brought down the shiltos, not mention this. וכולם פה אחד, all of them in unison say, שאין מים נפסל בשובim, that a mayan does not become possible with מים בשובim. ידעס השילטוס להפך, the opinion of shiltos, the opposite, לא אהבה שרקי, they would not remain silent. וכן מרדכי בעצמו שם, Mordechai himself writes at length, the mayan ain't a nifsal b'shiva, that a mayan is not rendered unfit by short water. Okay, Marik Shama Aricha Bemo B'Zeh speaks at great length. Maybe Ganke and Minag Shevi Mordechai V'Lo B'Shem Shiltos. Okay, fine. It's not the name Shiltos, but it wasn't Chumas Hadeshin. Kufiyut. Lanios Daiti Nira. So I think says Arukh HaShulchan Elushnogu Kain. Since it's the source in the Shiltos is dubious, I guess the Chumas Hadeshin is not sufficient. That the source of the Minag was something else. Minag Hatov B'Tov, so it's a mistake. The mikvahs there's several authorities who held there are mikvahs which are dug into the ground until it hits the water of the table. They don't have a status of a spring. He came to Marik shop, evidently his opinion of Marik. The questioner there proved they don't have a halacha mayim because water is there in place. It's sitting there. And we dig down to reach it. It doesn't become a spring as a result. Marik says the length, no, that is a spring. Quite literally. Mordechai seems brings people who evidently held that it's not called a mine when you dig down into it. Remember mikvah de Regensburg. Some call was macher on the mikvah de Regensburg, which I guess was a mayan which they put shuvim in. Mordechai was astonished. So mikvah de sham having mayan. Oh, yeah, it's a mayan. I guess in some treated like a regular mikvah. V'nika shows so go to that sovek that's a show marik sham. So it's clear that he held like the questioner on the marik. The mikvahs shalom our mikvahs ain't no command. They don't have the status of a spring. Of Marik Sham Shiva, the Kuliyama Yadu Shadina command. Where it says, I'm sure everybody knows the status of our mikvahs, where you dig down to the water level is that of a mine, it's that of a spring. Elishanogal Achmir Gama Mayan, but Minigas Nivakar also by Mayan, that should have to be Lugan Mayim Shubit. But I see in the mikvahs, Shevedim, Besov Sim, and Kuf Sain, Lian Kalin. The Ein Sham, Farshim as Nisin, the Rikvos, Shabbein Masim Kuf Zayin, Leon Kalin. They say that mikvah is talking about Kalin, not about human beings. Ein Sham. Leon's 19 the Arukh HaShulchan. He says that it's talking about also human beings. There's no difference. Kigam Marikim Harich Sham Dadim Bora the Mayan Einam Sabashiva. Marik says. Mine is not possible with Mayim Shumim. Even the Ramah is only Machil where it's possible. Chatchila no Asinke. Okay, Chatchila we don't put Mayim Shumim in a Mayan, or the mikvah, which is based on the digging down to the spring, so it becomes a spring. I'm welcome to talk, but the place is difficult, or be the avid or after the fact. We're not concerned with this. That's why Melacha. Marik said you should not delay tefillah even one night, and even one tefillah you should not delay on account of this issue. Besides what I've Marik, at the end of the words, Marik writes in this following language: anybody who multiplies chumras and Issa Rabbanan, Asher Kilubo Chachamim, which Chacham are lenient, they about them not some Pirarivya, thus causing Jewish girls to be deprived of Pirarivya, Puravu, Ain't Elamin Avdim, he's just astonishing. And he does not find his legs and his arms in the base medrash, which means obviously that he's rejecting that opinion. In the brackets, it says Sarkin Hashach Sifkon Beches Shkos Marik Loika Rak Sofek. It says Marik was only making on the Sofek. Varak Ramaiko Vada Gamali only the Ramo is making also by Vadai Ayin Sham Ain Oketz Nachud Marik Harik Sham Makayim Minik Me'achumra. He says yes, there's a minig that way on account of the chumrah. Avlamaisa Pasach Kamash Kosabnu Ayin Sham point the fact in Baskin that it is good. I was like Arukh HaShulchan said. Kufid Alf. Bezel Shor Rabbeinu Beis Yosef B'Sif Mem. This is language of the Beis Yosef in Sif Mem. Kli Shenikev B'Shulav, a vessel which was punctured in the bottom. I feel kosher, even a minute amount. Ain't a kosher kliv, so the mikvah is no longer called a keli that it passed the mikvah. Come, nevertheless, ain't a kila, so mikvah l'chatchila. You should not be lenient to make a mikvah initially, or be my mikli minukov kazeh, and bring water in this punctured vessel. The maneka but start him, and if the whole puncture is on the sides, ain't a button to us clear, it's still considered to be a keli. Until the diameter of the hole is the shversa note. It's like taking the two first fingers in the hand, etzba and ama, turning them around, in the opening of the hole easily. So not tightly. Whether it is square or round. It should be near the bottom. That it should not be able to get any water below it. Here's the hole inside. And then you have a whole bunch of water underneath it. So what's underneath it is the kli kibul still. So it's so you have to put the hole in the bottom because where it doesn't, it retains a shame keli. However, on the other hand, if you mix plaster and pebbles and close the hole, it's not considered to be a closing, which makes it a keli again. Gabi arts and put on the ground. I feel Gabi seed v'givsis, even if it's on top of plaster and gypsum. Lochash steam is not called being close. Avlirev seed v'givsis, but he mixed plaster and gypsum. If it's sauce more, and then you use that to close the hole. Chashiv steam is considered to be a valid plug. Let's see, says that he's about Sifai Dal, as discussed previously. Hilcha writes to show my man Mikkel and Akoso, so therefore somebody who wants to there's all the Beis Yosef speaking. Somebody who wants to draw water from the mikvah in order to clean it, Yore Shemi Aksu Mekeli, it's afraid it's going to go spill back from the keli into the mikvah before it has 40 saw of rainwater. Perhaps so for slosh looking mikvah acha shechosar boim saw. Even after after 40 saw is no longer there, they're going to pass it. You go back so in order to save that, puncture the vessel a little bit on the bottom. And then the water inside will not be considered drawn. If he may mind novim, if the water which remains, even it's less than 40 saw, is spring water, in Tzilka you don't need this. Mine and if Sabashiva of a spring does not become puzzle in Shiva by being drawn at Kanashon. And called the Beis Yosef. Says the Arukh HaShulchan now. Everything he says is clear. You can't ask him what he says at the end. You should puncture somewhere on the bottom. Before you say you need to have the 2-finger shversa note. And these are words to which he brought in Sif Samaches. Pashu the Zekas of eating having Mayim Bekeli Kazel Asos Mikvah. It's obviously talking about bringing water in this keli to make a mikvah. In terms of 3 lug, he wasn't chayshish with this at all. Sham biyana das Rabbeinu B'Yosef. Dina leaves both tocha in order to travel inside. Haitzrich midina kamotzi zayitz. It needs to have the amount which is going to let an olive out. But in terms of drawing water with these kalim, allows us mikvah to make a mikvah mutar medina koshu. According to strict level law, doesn't matter how small the hole is. But it's preferable to be concerned. But that's in terms of, I guess, them being mashlim to the 40 saw. But in terms of shlosh looking, she wasn't concerned even initially. It's clear that this is the point. Therefore, he was meticulous in what he wrote at the beginning of his statement. Lomar, to say, it says you should not bring water in this clean menukov. It's not in terms of the 3 lug. It's in terms of creating the mikvah to begin with. Vain the show can ask, my mahani and akiva. What good does it do that has a hole? The human being made the hole, so it's still under human control. The Yeshama could say the came in the end kavanas adam she blew my tocha. He doesn't have mind the water should fall there. He's doing his best to gather it up. Ain't a mikre b'dei adam, therefore it's not called b'dei adam. It says in brackets the shach and the bach say the same thing. There's like the halacha at the end of Siman Kuf Aleph. Now what you wrote at the beginning was words ain't lakev chuli lahavi mayim b'kli because chuli can't there shouldn't be lenient and bring water in such a kli. Klomar element kiva kushveres a note much kasavnu with a larger hole kushveres a note. Ain't coming also shaladam yishpoch lemikvah. It doesn't mean that a person should spill them into the mikvah. The chil omar kain. That's chas v'sholom. El jakein lukamin yishpochu lemikvah derech sinor. Okay, I'm not sure. I guess to pour them into water would be making them shuvit. Pouring them into make shuvit. So therefore, they have to just flow out on their own through a pipe or through a wheel, etc. Long brackets here, longish brackets. Vatas yiv kodem emzayin. Ruatz the tais want to answer the kol shamayim yordim derech on the coffee, and the water flows down by a hole. Mutter agam de adam. Even a human being can do it. Because the mikvah is meant to make a mikvah by pouring from such a keli with the hole into a mikvah. It was astonishing. Do that. Looks like the shah on the bach. Taz have a kosher according to Taz. It's difficult. Masha kosu that which it says lasos mikvah kulei to make a mikvah. Lefid varenu lo kosher cloud. Then it comes by the other because it sounds like Lasos mikvah is a problem, but so if you're saying by the other it's okay, so why should be a problem? But according to what Arukh HaShulchan says, lo kasher called ain't coming over by the other. It's not talking about the other. Baru b'siyat l'shmaya b'duk. Kufi Gimel. V'Rabbeinu Makos about Zebazeh Oshon, the Ramah writes as follows: Nevertheless, the custom is to be machmir also by a spring. There's an argument by a spring. For me, they say the sheep cells that being drawn parcels. Therefore, it's preferable to be machmir, linko vakeli, to puncture the vessel, shishayim bow, with which you draw the water, even if you're using a spring. Who came, they didn't do it, and they drew the water with which they filled up the balance of the spring in a whole keli. And 3 lug of mayim shuvim fell there, and mikveh, and mikveh became puzzle. Now, okay, it's puzzle, but we want to clean it out and make it kosher. And the Arukh HaShulchan stresses, so we should know. The only reason it's possible because it fell in after it was less than 40 saw there. It's possible to cork up the holes from which the water is coming easily. It's the best thing to do. It's very difficult. Or if we didn't do it, and those are lenient to serve him, then we can line those. When we say that there's no psul of mayim shuvim by a spring. If you can't eat the primary halacha, if the mikveh has no spring. The The kli is not so large that definitely 3 lug will fall. El sheish l'chushem menaflu b'zeh chazeh. But we're concerned that maybe they fell one after another at various different intervals. We still are lenient. The Sfeik of Shlosh Lugim Shuvim, Mavi, Sfeik of the Rabbanan, since the Sfeik of 3 Lugim Shuvim is Sfeik of the Rabbanan, Vein Lochim Shem De'eh, and if we don't be concerned after the fact, that's all a quote from the Ramah, evidently. But Karbi Arnu, we already explained, because something similar to Sif Kufyud. You can stop up the holes to which the water is bubbling. I feel damar kabatum, something which is kabatuma kamo beget, such as a garment. Sarah, feel me show certainly stone did davar makabatuma lina zochlin. Even those who forbid you to close to close up the hole of the mikveh with Science Kabatuma in terms of rainwater, as we shall see. Fine, Gimel. He concedes here. And I gave a mikveh since the ceiling is only a temporary one in order to clean the mikveh. Okay, there's brackets here which we're not going to understand without seeing inside. Kufidao, calls man she'ain my mikvah boim. So as long as it's 40 son mikvah film ain't a chosa el koshu. He was only missing a mashu. Im naflu tolo shlosh lugim mayim shuvim 3 log of mayim shuvim fall into it. Paslu they rendered unfit. Achi yotziu mi manu ma'am shlosh lugim. Until you remove some of the 3 lugim. I'll be over she's barbecue kuf chab zayin in a manner which we'll explain. And if these 3 lug fell in the mikvah, which was missing mash or something from becoming full 40 saw. I've got shlo paslu, even though they didn't passel it, because aren't 3 looking within 40 saw. Most of the 3 looking are after you completed 40 saw. So they don't pass it, but they weren't makshur either. This run water cannot comprise a balance with 40 saw. Ketzi, I said, use bar how to make a kasha, we will explain.